Well, our guest today is known around the world as one half of the dynamic duo from the iconic 1960s TV show Batman. As the Caped Crusader's trusty sidekick Robin, Burt Ward gave such a character-defining performance that he is the gold standard by which all other Robins are measured, including the Robin in the comic book. Well, Burt Ward has done a lot to help Gotham City and beyond off-screen as well, and we'll talk a little bit about that in this interview. And by the way, this is a first. Burt, you are the first guest I've ever had on the show that I can honestly say I pretended to be after school when I was a kid playing out in the yard with my friends. Mr. Burt Ward, welcome to the show.
Hello, citizen.
Still protecting the public sector all these years later. You know, it was only a few years ago that the TV show Batman celebrated its 50th anniversary, and with that came this renewed interest in the show, and rather than just sort of fade away, it's just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger.
Well, I think, first of all, our series is in reruns all over the country and in many other countries. That's number one. And number two, they've had all these movies that have followed Batman. And number three, Adam West and I did 2 full-length animated features with our voices.
Yes.
The most recent one, Batman versus Two-Face. Adam West portrayed Batman. I portrayed the voice of Robin. And Two-Face was portrayed by none other than William Shatner. So here you have the 2 most iconic TV shows in history, Batman and Star Trek, with the actors working together.
You know, I love those 2 films, and one of the things that amazed me in watching those, obviously a number of years has passed, but you sound exactly the same. Was it easy for you to slip into the Robin role?
I don't think I ever got out of it. It's funny that you should say that, because while I was doing the video and the audio recording, that the people in the booth, and it's like not just a small booth, it's actually quite large, and they have producers and writers and all this people that work in there. But I saw them all laughing, and I thought, well, wait a minute, they've seen the script. They know exactly what I'm missing. Why are these people laughing? And they took a break, and we stopped for a little bit because I had like 177 pages of dialogue, so I didn't want to completely wear my voice down. But they took a break, and the executive producer and a vice president at Warner Brother Animation came out and said, Burt, everybody in here is stunned. You sound exactly like you sounded 50 years ago. It's almost scary. But you see, when I was hired, the executive producer, William Dozier, said at the time, he said, Burt, we've interviewed 1,100 young actors for this role, and we've decided to go with you because in our minds, forgetting television, if there really was a Robin, I mean like the real thing, we think you personally would be it. So we don't want you to do anything other than just be yourself and be enthusiastic, which is what I did for 120 episodes. And so many people today that were children then now have their families and their kids are seeing it in reruns, and it's multi-generational. And kids, of course, they just went crazy over Batman and Robin and the Batmobile and climbing walls, fighting heinous villains. It was every kid's fantasy, including yours, apparently.
Yes, it was mine, too. And I would imagine that there were kids out there who were also big fans of Kato on the Green Hornet. And as it turns out, Robin and Kato were real-life friends. You and Bruce Lee actually knew each other before working together. Yes,
that's true. We lived in the same condominium complex, and Bruce and I were friends. We used to spar together. We had some great times. I remember at the time he and his wife Linda and their son Brandon, who at that time was only 6 months of age.
Right.
We went down into Chinatown, and because Bruce had lived in Hong Kong for 10 years, he knew all the most authentic foods to order. But we used to spar together, and a piece of trivia for your listeners is that Bruce Lee's first filmed fight scene of his career, cinematically filmed, was fighting me on Batman.
Wow. Now, who won?
Well, no, they didn't want anybody to win. No, they're very tight. In fact, when I used to spar with him, it was a really much rougher than this. This was supposed to be Batman style, bigger than life, where you might somebody pick up a chair and crack it over somebody's head and they fall down, but then they get up 2 minutes later, where there's no real injury.
But I know there were injuries behind the scenes, and you've told this story before. I'm going to ask you to tell it again. It's about the time you were injured in the Batmobile, and I don't know if I have it correct, but the stuntman didn't show up, or what was the story there?
No. Here's what it was. You have to understand, I had studied acting. I was studying both professionally, and I was studying at UCLA, but I'd never done anything. So this was my very first acting job, and it was my very first day of work on a set, and I got to the set early. This is up in Hollywood Hills called Bronson Canyon, and the idea was the Batmobile was going to come out of the Batcave, that very famous shot where it races out and makes that sharp left turn, and the sign goes down, 14 miles to Gotham City. Anyway, so I'm there at 6 a.m. I get into this costume that I won't even tell you how horrendous that was. But and I end the makeup and all of this, and then I have to go into this cave, and I get in the Batmobile, and it's so dark in there, and I look over, and I really thought it was Adam at first, in his Batman outfit, but I had a sense that maybe it wasn't him. So I said, wait a minute, are you Adam? And he said, no, my name's Hubie. I said, oh, well, why are you here? He said, because I'm a stuntman. They've hired me. This is a very dangerous shot, and they don't want to take a chance, the producers of Adam West, getting hurt. I said, oh, well, that's a good idea. And then I said, well, wait a minute. Do you think I have a stuntman? Oh, yeah, you have a stuntman. I said, well, that's good. Well, where is he? Well, he's actually, last time I saw him over there having coffee with Adam West. And I thought to myself, well, wait a minute. If this is really dangerous to him, it could be dangerous to me,
Right. Sure.
So just before I hear him say, all right, roll it up, let's get ready to shoot. I said, wait a minute here. I think there's a terrible mistake. I said, well, Burt, what's the problem? And I said, well, the problem is this man says he's a stuntman, and this is very dangerous. And they said, yeah. And I said, and he tells me I have a stuntman that's over having coffee with Adam West. Yeah, well, what about it, Burt? Well, I don't understand. Why, if it's so dangerous, why isn't he here sitting in this seat instead of me? And the assistant producer looked at me and said, Burt, we can't use him. Oh, I said, well, that's too bad. Why is that? Oh, because he doesn't look like you. What? He doesn't look like me? No. Well, why would you hire somebody to be my stuntman if he doesn't look like me? Couldn't find anybody else. Oh, there's no time. There's nothing to do. So, sure enough, I did the scene. We came out at 55 miles an hour, came straight at the camera. The stuntman, what he did was perfect. But unexpectedly, when you make that sharp left turn, and I'm on the right side, my door flew open. And when it did, it knocked over the cameraman sitting on the camera truck. It knocked over one of these giant arc lamps, which, if that had fallen, somebody would have killed them because those things are gigantic and extremely hot. And it threw me out the door, and I reached back, and I managed to lock my little finger around the gear shift knob. It was totally accidental. But it kept me from falling out, but it pulled my finger out of joint, which is one of the most painful things I could imagine. Well, everybody ran over. They looked at me and they said, "Burt, oh my gosh, your hand!" And through the glove, okay,
yeah,
through the glove, that you could see this huge swelling, and they said, "Oh, we got to get you to a doctor. I mean, your finger's out of joint. It must be incredibly painful." I said, "Yes." They said, "Okay," and I said, "Well, good. All right. Well, where's the car that I go to go to the hospital?" "Oh, well, we can't take you now, Burt." Well, you can't? Why? Well, we didn't get the shot. Well, you mean? They said it's costing us $30,000 every 20 minutes, and we got to get the shot. Got 80 people on the crew here. Well, this was at 7:30 in the morning, and I left from the emergency hospital at noon. Can you imagine that for that long to be in pain? And that was the first day of 4 days in a row. 4 days in a row that I went to the hospital every one of those 4 days. And I'll tell you something. Honestly, I didn't think I was going to survive the first week.
Right.
But the studio studio. Oh, these people are pros. They were very smart. They took out this gigantic multi-million-dollar life insurance policy, all right? And by the last season, the last couple of shows, I could swear they were trying to collect on that policy.
I don't know who he is behind that man.
Now, at the time of Batman's, well, let's say the first run of the phenomenon of Batman, you cut a record called Boy Wonder, I Love You. How did this come about?
Oh, well, apparently someone at MGM Records contacted my agent, and they said, oh, we'd like to have Burt sing. And I said, I can't sing. No way. And they said, no, you don't have to sing. You have to, how about we just do some great music and we do a reading type of thing. And I came up with the idea, said, well, I've got so many of these fan letters. Why not take a couple of them, kind of put them together? They're all very similar.
Sure. And
make something out of it. And that's what I did. And then they said, but we want you to work with somebody that we highly value. His name is Frank Zappa. And I said, well, I don't know Frank. And they said, oh yeah, and his group is called the Mothers of Invention. I said, really? Well, let me tell you, when I met them, oh my gosh, are they the complete opposite of me? I mean, everyone had these incredible long beards. They would play their music, and then they would destroy their instruments, and they'd destroy couches. They'd destroy everything in their path. And it's like, oh my gosh! And all I could figure was they wanted this insane contrast between me, all American, and apple pie, and in case of Frank was not like he looked. I mean, this was a brilliant man.
Yeah.
Very, very mentally sharp. But he sure looked wild and crazy, and he was a graduate of Columbia University in music. And, I mean, the guy was immensely talented.
And also it served a purpose because there was no way you could respond to millions and millions of fan letters. Now they had this record.
It became very popular. And I actually got to be number 6 in Chicago on WLS. But at the time, the censors were a lot different then than they are now. And they actually censored my record because they said that, it was a fan letter from a young girl who said, oh, can you come over and stay at my house for a week or two? I'll make you breakfast in bed. In fact, I like you so much, I'd like you to stay the whole summer. Totally innocent.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Completely. But, oh, boy, you couldn't do that then. And look how times have changed, right?
Absolutely.
Boy wonder, I love.
We're back talking with the iconic Burt Ward of TV's Batman fame. Well, he's now saving our four-legged friends as well as the two-legged folks in Gotham City. Tell us about your rescue, which is called Gentle Giants, and the website is gentlegiantsrescue.com.
Well, actually, we have two websites. Gentle Giants Rescue is for rescuing dogs, and then our gentlegiantsdogfood.com is our dog food. And
yes.
What happened is this. In a nutshell, 25 years ago, my wife and I moved from the Los Angeles area. We had a young daughter. We were staying at the beach in a 4-story, beautiful place overlooking the water with these balconies that are, 50 feet high. And that's no place for a 1-year-old child, to go out on the balcony.
You're right, yes.
So we decided we'd move inland. So we moved about an hour and a half inland from Los Angeles. Got a beautiful home, 5 acres. Everything is fantastic. And we decided to get our daughter a dog to grow up with. A lot of kids, it's a great thing for a kid to have their best friend, a dog growing up with. So we decided we wanted to get a Great Dane or an Irish Wolfhound. And we went looking for Great Danes, and we couldn't find any. And we thought it was kind of strange. And then we heard that there was a rescue, but the lady who had been rescuing them had actually died. And the people that had to give up Great Danes, such as maybe the business or travel or some reason they had to give up the dogs weren't going into any rescue, were going straight to the pound and being put to death.
Oh.
And this was the first week in August of 1994 that I said to my wife, Tracy, I said, we can't let these dogs die. These gentle giants, these so sweet. The bigger they are, the sweeter they are.
Yep.
How about just for a couple of weeks, just till we find somebody else to take this over? And she said, okay. Well, guess what? It's been 25 years. Now, I'm a patient person, but that's an awful long time to wait for somebody to help take this over. So, and then of course we started with Great Danes, but then people would come with a Great Dane, and then they'd say, well, I have this other dog here. This is a Mastiff, and I guess if you only take Great Danes, we'll just have to take this dog and have him put to sleep. And at the shelter, I said, no, wait a minute. You can't do that. And so anyway, through the years, my wife would take all these other dogs, including the Great Danes, and so she has actually redefined the term Great Dane. Right. If it has 4 legs and a tail, it must be a Great Dane, right?
Sure.
So through the course of saving 15,500 dogs in 25 years, everyone would have been put to death if we hadn't been here to save them. 15,500, all of which, by the way, have lived in our house with us. We don't have some other building. We don't have yards to put dogs in. All of the dogs live communally together in our home, and we always have about 50 at a time. Now, that's for 25 years, 24/7, right? So in the course of caring for all these animals, especially the Great Danes that traditionally have a short lifespan of only 7 to 9 years, we decided when we would lose one, it was so devastating to us that we would try to find a way to help them live longer. And we first developed a feeding and care program. The way we feed dogs, on average, adds about 3 years to every dog's life. Pretty spectacular, actually. But then after we did that, and, of course, you always want more and you want more, how do we help these dogs live longer and longer? Well, we decided to make dog food. And our idea was, this was not to sell or anything. This was just for our own rescue. Because with 50-some-odd dogs in your house, we were feeding 600 pounds a day. Because these dogs are gigantic dogs, bigger than most people think.
Right.
So in the course of doing that, we created a food that is unlike any other dog food. And we now have dogs living up to 27 years. And not just living that long, but with a superb quality of life, running around like puppies in their 20s. And our Great Danes, we've gotten them to live up to 22 years.
Wow.
And that's like triple their normal lifespan. So people that would come and adopt a dog from us, when they got the dog, they said, well, wait a minute. You've got these dogs living 2 and 3 times their lifespan. What are you feeding them? I said, well, we have this special food we make. Well, can we have it? Well, we never really thought about, selling it. We have it in plain white bags. We'd have to put labeling and go through all of this stuff. And anyway, the demand was so great that we started making the food. And first thing you know now, after, 15 years, we now are all over the United States, all over Canada. People, tens of thousands of people have Gentle Giants they're being fed to their dogs. That's the name of our food. We made a deal with Walmart. We said, this is our charity. We don't want any money from this. We'll sell it to you for cost. Can you make it available all across America to everybody that loves their dog, especially the people that don't have much money, okay? And today, even, I got a phone call from a 78-year-old lady. Her son died last year, and all she's got is this dog left. And she lives on $500 a month, Social Security. And she can barely afford our food, even at cost. But we did this, my wife and I, because this is our charity. So we've got dogs living up to 27 years. We work with Walmart. We sell it all over Walmart.com, every Walmart in America. We have our own website for teaching people how to properly feed and care for their dogs. That's the GentleGiantsDogFood.com. And we answer about 1,100 inquiries a week. And we do it with no salary. We have no employees. You know what I mean?
Sure.
We've made this as streamlined as possible, and this is our charity. And by the way, if you'd like to know how a food can keep a dog living so long, people say, well, how can you do this? Let me give you a quick, just one out of many things. If you feel any dog food, you're going to feel it in your fingers. You're going to feel a greasy feeling, slightly greasy feeling. That's because dog food is coated with animal fat after it's made to make it more tasty for dogs. Otherwise, it would be very bland. But also, it has the effect of clogging arteries and intestines. And it also has the effect of making dogs hungrier, which can result in people having to buy more dog food. Isn't that a little suspicious?
Right, okay.
The point of it is, I tell people, I said, would you take bacon grease and pour it down your garbage disposal at home? Oh, of course not. It would ruin it. I said, well, then you understand that if animal fat will ruin a metal garbage disposal, what is it doing to the intestines and arteries of those dogs you love so much? People go, oh, my gosh. Well, we made our food no grease on the outside, not greasy, and no extra fat on the inside, and a million other things that we did. And it's not that we're doing anything magical. It's all science. And everybody that has a dog that wants their dog to live 5 or 10 years longer can get our Gentle Giants dog food. At Walmart, it retails for half the price of what you would pay for a natural food in a pet store. So our motto has become half the price and twice the life.
Oh, I love it. GentleGiantsDogFood.com. That's the website. And, of course, to get the dog in the first place, GentleGiantsRescue.com would
right.
be
There's dogs. We have the giant breed. Not everybody wants a giant.
Right.
But they are all dogs. We find every dog, it can be a loving, wonderful family pet. And our own daughter, she grew up, and with the dog that we got her, she was a year and a half. We got her 6-month-old American Eskimo. She's had that same dog for more than 20 years.
Holy mackerel.
Just think about it for a minute. What a great thing for a kid to truly grow up with their best friend. Because as it stands now, most people want to get a dog for their kid to grow up with. But what happens is, at about 10 or 11 years of age, the dog is gone. And now you're explaining to a 10 or 11-year-old child death, which doesn't have to be that way. So anyway, this is our charity. We love dogs. And I like to say that I was the Cape Crusader. I've become the Canine Crusader, and I'm doing more projects, TV and movies, and some of this is tied in with Batman stuff. So I don't think I ever really left it,
It's true.
Like we used to say, we put on our tights to put on the world.
and of course, as people think of their dogs, and they are a part of the family, you might as well treat them like a part of the family. And
well, tell
feed
me,
them right.
who else will love you unconditionally? Right?
Absolutely.
Who else will you have the best day in the world? And let me tell you something. I have 2 children, and I love them dearly, but I have never had any of my 50 dogs ask me to buy them a car. Not one.
Certainly, your place is never going to get burgled. That's for sure. Before I let you go, your wife is also on Facebook, and my God, did you hit the jackpot there?
Yes, I did, and I tell you, I am so lucky. My wife and I have been married for 29 years, and a lot of husband and wives, they do different things. So during the day, one goes to one office, one goes to another, or stays home and takes care of the family. But my wife and I have had the luxury of working together every single day for the 29, almost 30 years we've been together. And you'd think we'd be at each other, to be with somebody 24/7. Right. And I tell everybody, no, it's wonderful. I'm down to only 500 fights a day. No, just kidding. We do. We love each other so much, and I feel like I'm the luckiest guy in the world. And she's been the ultimate person for me. And I tell you, it really reminds me. I'd like to share something with your listeners.
Sure.
I once learned something that I think is incredibly valuable, and it's the 3 essentials to happiness. Would you like to know the 3 essentials to happiness? Okay. The 3 essentials to happiness are as follows: 1, someone to love. 2, something to do, and 3, something to look forward to.
Burt, thank you so much again. It's been a thrill, and I urge everybody to head on over to those websites and check out the Facebook page as well. And I guess you got to go back to those dogs, so I'll let you go and have a great rest of your day.
Well, thank you, citizen. To the Batmobile!